Hello all, this is Mr. Lucid LJ here, back with another audio commentary for you guys today. I'm really thinking in 2014 I might try and get back into the swing of things with doing video, like audio commentaries and stuff, and you might maybe see videos at some point down the line as well, but, I was thinking about this the other night and, thought of doing a video about the 14 changes I'd like to see in WWE in 2014. I thought 2013, for the most part, was a pretty bad year for WWE in terms of entertainment wise. I didn't think it was that entertaining. There were certain guys and certain groups and stuff that I thought that would go, like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, The Shield. I think they've been the best group probably in the past number of years. A lot better than Nexus and a lot better booked than Nexus. You got guys like Biggie Langston. Obviously guys like Punk and Bryan you like, and Orton at times can be good, but overall I just didn't think they had a lot of depth and quality in even pay-per-views, TV and stuff. I thought some of the pay-per-views have been really bad. I think most pay-per-views since SummerSlam have been pretty atrocious, so SummerSlam's probably the only good show of the year in my eyes, like really good show, great show. Match of the year, Punk and Lesnar. I wasn't expecting greatness. I thought it'd be a decent to good match, but they really stole the show. Put on an excellent match. So anyway, enough rambling and shit. Anyway, so I've written a list down here of 14 different things I'd like to see come in or change about WWE. So no particular order. So number one, I think if you're going in a direction. I just want to see a bit of a change in direction in terms of creative, so I would definitely be trying to look for more wrestling minds, come back into wrestling, like guys who know the business, maybe not necessarily bookers, but some of them can be bookers or help guys like, road agents and shit like that, more of these kind of guys to help the younger guys in terms of talent and stuff like that, because a good thing, it was said on, what was it, Edge? Oh yeah, the Edge podcast with Jericho. There's not any territories anymore. So, like, guys can't go to different territories and do different things anymore. It's all done through NXT and it's like a farm. So you're farming the guys off and then sending them off to TV, but if they're only going to learn one kind of style of wrestling, and not learn all these different other styles and, add different things to their matches, add different stuff to their gimmick, all this kind of stuff. You probably need more wrestling bookers and wrestling minds to kind of say, look, well, you need to kind of do this. This might help you get over. Or, you need to do this to kind of help a match out or your gimmick or whatever. So I think if you mix in with what they have, these Hollywood writers, and try and mix it in with more old style bookers. You could use like contemporary storyline from Hollywood or contemporary shit that's going on these days, but incorporate it with, like old wrestling kind of bookers and stuff, and have a good combination of both. Because I think that could work really well and could really benefit WWE. It could really freshen up their storylines. It could really make people start watching again, perhaps. So. That's one big thing I think that needs to really change in 2014. Number two, move away from the PG era and go back to more of an edgy era. Now, people are saying, oh, well, you want the Attitude Era back. No, I'd rather have something that we had between 2002 to 2008. I thought that era was equally as good as the Attitude Era. You had some great matches, you had some great storylines, you had some great feuds. You had it all pretty much. You had some good wrestlers, interesting gimmicks. You just had more excitement, and you were like, oh, wow, I have to watch the show. And, with all this PG bullshit and watered down crap where they can't even have blood in, like, blood feud matches and stuff, it's kind of like, well, what's the point of watching? As Bruce Blitz likes to say, it's just garbage, really, you just want more edgy stuff. I mean, PG stuff, yeah, it's for the kids, whatever, but look at all the shit they were doing in the Attitude Era, doing all this crazy sort of shit in the Attitude Era, where they were, had blood and stuff and just more exciting shit. They had garbage in the Attitude Era, but at least they push the envelope more. What are we seeing that's being pushed? We're seeing the same storylines or crap storylines, seeing the same guys on top. Just do some interesting, different, creative stuff. It's not that difficult. So, and like I said, if you have more interesting, creative stuff, um, you know, it people start watching again. I'm not saying you're going to get massive ratings, but you could get a decent increase in ratings anyway. All them fans that have been drove away because of the PG bullshit and John Cena, they might start watching again if it's interesting. So, number 3, start pushing and booking guys right before they are too old, and have lost all momentum. Now, this is a big thing. WWE has had a pattern in the past 3 or 4 years to build up a guy and then just totally take the rug out from under them. Jack Swagger, Drew McIntyre, DiBiase, Ziggler, a load of other guys, Wade Barrett, The Miz. All these guys were built up to a certain degree, and then WWE just was like, well, whatever, This stop-start pushing of people, it happened to Sheamus for a while, and then he got, to that level where you can consider him as a good main eventer, but for the most part, the stop-start of pushing the guys isn't great. And, you look at your main event scene, and a lot of the guys are in their mid to late 30s, and, it's not much of a main event scene when you really look at it. It's kind of really weak. It's probably one of the weakest main event scenes I've ever seen. So you look at the mid-90s, you had a lot more guys even trying to go for the title. Luger and Bulldog Owen and Razor Taker. What have you really got now? John Cena, Orton, Punk, Bryan, Del Rio. Is that about it? I just feel like it's a really weak main event scene that needs a lot more depth and a lot more quality into it. So you need to start booking people right in 2014. You need to start pushing certain guys to where they need to be in the next year or two to, build up your future. I mean, Sheamus is 35, Punk's 35, Cena's 36, Orton's 33, it's not a young main event scene. Del Rio's 30, they're all really old, or getting old. And, it's the same guys on top, and you want a bit more freshness and variety. So that would be another big reason I'd like to see him change. So number 4, I think a lot of people might not agree with this one, but I'd like to see more weight classes or / divisions to legitimize the product now. I think UFC does a really good job in what they have. They have 7 or 8 different weight divisions, and now they have the women's division. And if you really have set divisions in a company, or set places for people to be, then you know where people stand. I'd like to see a cruiserweight division maybe come back. I'd like to see a junior heavyweight. So guys like Ziggler and Punk and guys like that, I don't see them as the WWE or World Heavyweight Champion. I see them as the junior heavyweight champions, or the light heavyweight champion, but not the one that they had. But I'm saying and have it as really as an important division. I'm saying all guys don't have to be world champions, and people have to realize that everyone can't be a world champion. I think that's the problem. People want everyone as nearly a world champion these days. The standard for world champion is so low that the Miz can be world champion, and he's garbage. He doesn't look like a champion. I could beat him up from just the size of me. I'm the same size as Miz, probably bigger, so you have to have a legitimacy. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to be 300 pounds or any of that shit, but a guy like Christian, he could float between, the weight class below the heavyweight up into the heavyweights. Certain guys can kind of go in between. A Ziggler could probably do that. Maybe a Punk. Bryan, I still think he's too small to be a world champion, but there's nothing wrong with having him as the top guy of a certain division. You look at it. You look at John Jones or GSP. They are the top guys of their division. but are they any less important than someone like a Cain Velasquez, who's the heavyweight champion of his division? I would even say they're more important than a guy like Velasquez, because they've got all these different things about him, like likability factor and all this kind of stuff, and different moves that they do, just different things that they do to make them over in their division. And having like weight classes, like you look at like Mayweather or Pacquiao, they're like big time legends in their weight class, but does that make them any less important than another guy? I really don't think so. I think that what wrestling's done, and it's kind of a bad stigma that it's kind of lowered at standards that anyone can be world champion. And then even guys who are like Mysterio think that they even deserve a world title. You know, what is wrong with being the top guy in a division? Like, he would be the top guy of a cruiserweight division, a legend in the business, you know? If you make a division important, then people will care about it. I don't give a shit what you say. If people put the effort and time in to make this important, to say, look, this is a legitimate division. You know, you've got your mid-card division, you know. Like, mid-card division for me is like guys who could either be future junior heavyweight, light heavyweight champions, or the world champion. Then you probably have your tag division, you have your divas division, you have your cruiserweight division, maybe like a lower class jobber kind of division too, and then a super heavyweight division for guys like Henry, Big Show, Kane, you know, other guys like this that they might have to bring up in the next few years. So I'm saying, have divisions, make it legit, you know? Not make it UFC, but just distinguish where every guy has his place on the roster. Number 5 was basically bringing back the cruiserweight division and title. I think that you have enough guys to do this. I think there's a lot of talent in the roster to have a really good cruiserweight division, and you possibly could bring more guys up eventually through NXT. You've got like guys like Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, JTG, Mysterio, Xavier Woods, just to name a few off the top of my head. These guys could make a good cruiserweight division and do interesting storylines and why this guy wants a title. Make it legit like it was like 10 years ago, where you had a really good, solid cruiserweight division. So that would be number 5. Number 6, I've kind of mentioned it in the first 2. It's kind of make more interesting storylines and interesting feuds. You know, we're not seeing enough interesting storylines where we're like, oh, we're hooked. You know, we want to see this play out and stuff. I think that you need to do more angles where it's over time, a long build, like Heyman against Punk and Lesnar, you know, the Heyman guys, and, you know, different things like that. You know, I think a lot of the things are blown off in a short period of time. You got like the Brian Orton thing, and I mean, that was done inside of 2 months. Why couldn't have that stretched out to like Rumble or Elimination Chamber, and not have it where every pay-per-view these two guys have to face each other? Have like Kane against Bryan because he's part of the corporation, or just have like they did the Shield members against Bryan, but continue the storyline. That storyline's going to be dropped now, and it probably won't be mentioned again. So have storylines that last a little bit longer, have feuds that are built up well, have feuds that have meaning and purpose. Why are you feuding? What is the purpose of your feuding? Do interesting things in the feud to be like, oh, well, that's cool, yeah. Or not this like lame shit and PG watered down shit. Do interesting stuff to like be like, oh, well, that's an interesting feud. That was good what Del Rio did with such and such a guy or whatever. You're not seeing that enough, you know. You know, you need more things, and I think a lot of things that WWE used to do, UFC are doing right now that are good. So why can't WWE look at themselves and think, well, UFC is doing really well, you know, maybe not as hot as they were a couple of years ago, but still doing great numbers, probably oversaturated the product a good bit, but still doing some great shit. So if we look at them and think, well, we used to do that, we could do that again, so why aren't we doing that? And it could improve numbers on pay-per-view, TV ratings, buy rates, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a thought, WWE. Number 7, this is a big one for me. Start repeating the same matches over and over and over. Ziggler Kingston, we've seen it 35 times, and that is no exaggeration. Sheamus Del Rio Cena, just to name a few, Ziggler, Sheamus, like, we've seen the same matches over and over and over and over again. And it just gets to the point where no one gives a shit about it, for one. You know everything that will happen in the match, so there's nothing new that can be done. And, you know, for the most part, some of the matches that they have repeated over and over again, I don't think they're that, like, amazingly special. You've seen Randy Orton against Bryan for like 4 or 5 times in the past few months, and it's like, they've had some good matches to very good matches, but nothing really great or special, really. I don't think so. And then it loses the appeal when you see matches over and over and over again. It's like if you watch UFC and seen like Jones v Gustafsson 5 times in the space of a year and a half, you'd be like, after the 3rd time, you'd be like, yeah, it was good maybe. If they had good fights, fair enough, but it just gets to a point where you want to see some fresh, new, exciting fights. You don't want to see the same guy against the same guy over and over and over again. So that's a big problem that I think WWE really needs to sort out for this year anyway. So, number 8, go back to 2 hours for Raw, because this 3-hour Raw, it's too much filler for me, and a lot of fans have been saying it's just too much. Like, you'll get like too much crap filled in to add to the show for an extra hour. It's just way too much. 2 hours, you could do a lot more condensed stuff. You could get things over a lot better. You know, it wouldn't feel like a long show. It won't feel like drawn out. And another reason why I think 3 hours is crazy, because you're watching a pay-per-view and that's 3 hours, and then you watch a Raw. And for me, there is no distinguish from pay-per-views to Raw anymore, because it's the same amount of time. You're seeing similar content on a pay-per-view that you see on Raw. You're seeing matches that you would see on the pay-per-view that you're meant to pay for and actually watch the repeats on Raw, or even see them a couple of weeks before, or see good TV Raw matches. Now, there's nothing wrong with good TV Raw matches, but you're seeing the same matches on pay-per-view and Raw, and then you're supposed to be paying the exact same money. You know what I mean? It's kind of counterproductive. Like, if UFC did, like, Jones against Gustafsson on one of these Fox shows and then did it on the pay-per-view like a month later, it's like, what? I don't want to see this shit again, you know? I just seen it on the Fox show. I mean, it could be a really good match, but it's taken away from the fact of you're trying to build up this for pay-per-view, you know? You don't need to do matches on both shows, you know? And another problem is that there is way too many matches on Raw. There's like 9, sometimes 10 matches on Raw. It's way too much. There's some crap matches for the most part. You might get one good main event and one good other match, and then that's it. One Raw had like 5 tag matches. We're not watching Battle of Los Angeles or fucking King of Trios. We're trying to watch Raw. We want to see maybe a couple of squash matches, maybe. Okay, fair enough. To get guys over as like big guys or tough guys or whatever. Maybe your Divas match, and not always have it like a 12-person tag. Have it where it's just a one-on-one Divas match. Then you have like maybe 1 to 2 tag matches. Okay, fair enough. One mid-card match, one main event match. So you really need like 5 to 6 matches on a 2-hour Raw, and then have your segments in between, or your build up for pay-per-view or whatever in between. You don't need this shit of having so many matches, and it's like, well, it's just oversaturation for one, and the second thing, it's like we're seeing the same shit over and over and over again. So definitely cut down on matches and go back to the 2-hour Raw. That is a big thing for me as well. Number 9, continue to do a decent build up of your Divas division and tag division. Now, people have complained about how poor both divisions are the past couple of years. I think they've, definitely obviously put a lot more focus onto the Divas division. That division was crap a few years ago, but at least they're trying to do something with this Divas show. They did something with AJ a lot this year. They did stuff with other Divas, but continue to do that. Don't like go back to where you're not doing anything for the Divas and it's not, it just seems random and there's no build up to matches or feuds. Divas, do a good job at times. I thought Natalya had a good match against AJ. I can't remember what pay-per-view. It could have been the TLC. That was a decent, pay-per-view match. It wasn't amazing, but it was good for a Divas match, I thought. So continue to do that. Give Divas singles runs. Don't just keep doing the same big fucking clusterfuck tag matches over and over again. Give them a chance to shine on their own. And same with the tag division. Keep doing what you're doing with the tag division. Keep building it up. Maybe introduce some more teams in 2014. Keep it solid. It's been solid, I'd say, for the past year or so. So they're doing a decent job. So that's one positive you can take from the list, that they've done a decent to good job with these divisions. But keep it up with these divisions and keep it up with maybe if you're introducing potential new divisions, do the exact same, because you just have to. You can't just half-ass do stuff, because if you do, people don't give a shit then. So, number 10. The Breakfast Club. These guys, Orton and Cena, I just feel like having these guys still be the main focus. Orton was a main eventer at 24. You're too young to be main eventing at 24. You should just be starting off your career at like early to mid 20s, unless you're like The Rock or Brock Lesnar. I mean, Orton was a great prospect, don't get me wrong, great talent, but it's like, I've seen Orton for 10 years or more now, and it's like, do I even want to see him anymore? It's like, I'm bored with him. I'd rather see someone like, I don't know, like a Ziggler or a Reigns or just someone fresh, because I just feel Orton has been overbooked and overpushed. So I'd like to see less focus on some guys like Orton and Cena, because they've been in the main event for 10 years now, You want to see other guys come up, maybe have more focus on Sheamus. I'd rather see Sheamus have more focus, or I don't know about Del Rio, I think he's garbage, but just more focus on Punk or Bryan, or just more focus on other guys. I mean, I think you really need to build up your heavyweight division in the next year or two, or you're going to have no heavyweight division by 2016. I think the heavyweight division is one of the weak parts of the whole roster. So, build that up in the next couple of years, but just less focus on these two guys. It gets to a point where if you have another 4 or 5 years of focus on these two guys, you're going to have no one watching anymore. People are going to be sickened by watching John Cena, Randy Orton. It was getting the same with Edge. People are getting bored with Edge. People get bored with certain guys if they're overdone and overseen. I was getting bored with Edge. Taker was getting a bit much, but at least he's not around anymore as much. Getting bored of Batista, overdone. Triple H was the exact same. But then when you get guys coming back like Lesnar, it's like, oh, breath of fresh air, or Rock coming back, breath of fresh air. Batista hasn't been around for like nearly 4 years now. So it's kind of like, oh, breath of fresh air. But then if he's overdone, it's like, do it in a certain way where it helps other guys out and helps your product out, Number 11, another big one, I think. Stop having Cena as this all-powerful being where he can't be beaten and he's going to be the top guy for another 5 years. Have him have more vulnerability into his character. It's the same shit. He never puts people over clean, and if he does, he'll come out with some excuse. Oh, my elbow's fucked. Oh, I made a mistake in this match. Oh, I did this, I did that. Have him put over guys clean, where he doesn't come out and say, well, this is the excuse why I lost, or this is the reason why I didn't do so good in the match. Have him just, lay down, have it built up to a point where this guy's legit, that he can beat Cena, for one, and then have him put over guys. I'm sick of Cena. For me, Cena is one of the main reasons, the WWE pushing him is one of the main reasons the product is so stale and lame. And same with Orton. You're over-pushing guys to this point where you don't care anymore. they're garbage. You know, Cena's wrestling is crap at times. He puts on, like, he can't wrestle good matches unless he's in the ring with someone who's better than him. What does that say about the top guy of the company? Imagine, like, if Velasquez was just garbage and you pushed him as the top guy, for like 10 years as the UFC champ. I mean, people would be like fucking sick of this cunt, Sorry for my language, but Cena, you need to either change him up, make him less vulnerable, turn him heel, do something with Cena, take him away from the main event scene, and stop having this notion that this fucker is going to be one of the best of all time. Because I guarantee he's going to probably either beat Ric Flair's record, or he's going to fucking beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I don't want to see that. I don't think a lot of fans want to see that as Cena being perceived as the best in the business or one of the best of all time. Cena won't even make a top 20 list. Not a chance. There's so many legends that are so much better than this guy. So stop having him with this WWE politics and having him bury guys and not put over guys clean. So, as Edge liked to say in his Jericho podcast, the interview he done, he said that Cena's just so stubborn to having the idea of putting over guys. He even said it in the Nexus thing a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. He was like, him and, Jericho and Edge were like, lobbying for Barrett to be put over as, over Cena maybe, I don't know, or over in the match or whatever, because they thought Nexus had a lot of potential at the time, and they did. And then after that, after the loss, after the unrealistic shit with Cena, they lost all credibility and they were done in a few months' time. Cena ruined it, and then Cena was like, oh, well, I was wrong after. Well, take the advice from guys who've been in the business longer than you, Cena. Edge has been in it another 5 years or more longer, 5 to 10 years longer than you, and Jericho's been in it 10 years longer than you. So take the advice from guys who've been in the business longer than you, that don't play the politics and this unrealistic shit that Superman comes back and wins. This kind of rubbish the whole time. I remember that match he had against Lesnar. That was a really good match until the ending. It ruined it. Cena comes back, beats Lesnar. Why can't he put Lesnar over? Lesnar's a beast, an animal. It could have set up to another match down the line, and maybe Cena could have won that one, perhaps. But, or why did he do this exact same to Miz? He was getting his ass beaten by two guys for like 20 minutes, and then he comes back and wins in a couple of minutes. It's just so unrealistic. It's complete and utter bullshit. So definitely change that. Number 12. Definitely cut down on the number of pay-per-views. I think the oversaturation of pay-per-views is way too many. Get rid of some of these pay-per-views that just people don't buy anyway. They're garbage. No one buys them. And the buy rates keep going down constantly every year on these pay-per-views. So I cut it down to 8. I think 8 is a good enough number. You spread out certain pay-per-views to like 6 to 8 week build. I would slightly reduce the cost. I think the cost is very expensive for the pay-per-views. I think maybe like 30, 35 for like regular pay-per-views, maybe 40 for regular pay-per-views. Let's say 40 even instead of 50, and then Mania can be 50 then or something. People just don't have the money these days to be spending all this money on pay-per-views, and especially spending money on pay-per-views that are garbage. If you bought all these pay-per-views this year, all the power to you, but it's like, these pay-per-views cost serious amounts of money, and if you're getting the same shit that you get on free TV, what was the point in paying all the money for pay-per-views? The only pay-per-view that maybe justified any kind of money was probably SummerSlam for me. Didn't think Mania was great. I thought there was a lot of crap on Mania. Fandango, rubbish. Paid $50 for that bomb. Or 70 for Mania, wasn't it? Put it up to 70 for Mania. Absolutely ludicrous. Everything should be just bought in HD. I think most people have HD now, so do like 40 for HD. If you're doing regular pay-per-views, do 30 for standard, then I guess if people don't have it. And then, for Mania, probably do 45 for standard, 50 for HD, I guess. So, just cut it down. It's just oversaturation. Vince came out a couple of weeks ago saying he's going to get rid of heels and faces. Obviously, you want to keep heels and faces because that's the whole point of doing your product. If you don't have heels and faces, then who are you going to care about to hate and who are you going to care about to like? If you don't have a distinguish between the two, it's completely ludicrous even saying or suggesting that idea. So you need to obviously keep heel and faces. If you don't, then God, where's the product going to go in the next year or two? It's just going to go down the toilet, and it's just going to be unwatchable if you can't distinguish between the two. You can have tweeners, don't get me wrong, but you need to have a good distinguish between the two, so people will boo people and hate people or whatever, and then people will love people and all that. But the thing is as well that when you're having heels and faces, you need to have a variety of faces that are not all cookie cutter smile pricks and stuff, and then you need to have heels that are not all the same as well. So you need to look at things and look at heels in TV, film, or whatever. Look at your previous heels in the past and have a variety of, oh well, this guy's a heel for these reasons, or this guy's a face for these reasons. Don't have it all cookie cutter or same heels all the time. Number 14. This was an idea. I thought it was an interesting idea. TNA did it. I don't know necessarily if it worked, but have some sort of a thing where NXT guys could debut, perhaps like an open fight night kind of thing that they did on TNA. Have matches against certain guys. Maybe sometimes they win their match, or sometimes they lose. Depends what guy they put it over. Put them over against semi-legit guys, mid-card guys. Maybe have a guy come up and be against a Titus O'Neil or a Cody Rhodes and maybe win or maybe lose, But if they put on a good performance, a good match, whatever, fans could either vote on it if they like the guy. If they don't like the guy, fair enough. They can go back to NXT, improve, maybe come back 6 months to a year down the line. So I think that's an interesting concept that you could introduce guys that way, and if people like them, they attach to them. If they don't like them, at least you tried and go back and work on shit. So, and just one last bonus thing, either improve the commentary or bring back JR, because at the moment, I think the commentary is absolute garbage, to be honest, at times. You get some good points, but for an overall commentary is just rubbish. They don't really focus on the match. They don't put over the importance of pay-per-views. They don't put over the importance of guys. They just start talking about random shit that has nothing to do with the match. And, when you're listening to it on TV, it's a really disheartening thing to be listening to that kind of stuff, because where is the interest? Where is the intrigue? I just think it's lost a lot of appeal with its commentary and stuff like that. So you need I botched there, but you either need to improve the commentary or bring back a guy like JR or someone else who can really elevate that commentary to where, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that pay-per-view, or oh yeah, I really care about a Roman Reigns or a Ziggler or a Sheamus or whoever, I think the art of commentary has really been lost in WWE the past couple of years because of how bad, you get a play-by-play guy, Cole was a heel a couple of years ago, now he's a face, and he's alright, but you need someone stronger to be leading him through. Lawler's just phoned it in the past couple of years. JBL at times can be good, but then other times he can be complete garbage, so I don't know, you just really need to improve. So it's 15 reasons with a bonus extra one, 14 reasons, whatever, but you guys tell me what you think. Tell me if you think there's any other reasons or any other changes you could do to WWE in 2014 to improve the product. Hopefully I'll be coming up with more wrestling videos and more stuff, and maybe football videos and stuff that I'll be talking about. But I just thought this was an interesting thing. I don't know how many people are doing it and stuff, but this is Mr. Lucid LJ. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Peace. Bye-bye.